Okay, guys, I think we're good to get started.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will be covering a multitude of things concerning cannabis marketing. So we're excited to get started for you. All right, so I wanted to introduce Lindsay. She's going to be your host through this webinar. Lindsay's been working with ThrivePOP for almost 5 years, or about 3 to 4 years. So Lindsay is our creative content specialist. She's been working with social media, blogging, PR, and content curation. She manages several of our cannabis social media accounts and assists on providing great service on all the online profiles. She's increased and adjusts the social media presence during the ongoing coronavirus, as we all know and love. So yeah, you guys will be getting to know Lindsay pretty well throughout this.
Yeah.
So just a little bit about ThrivePOP. So we help cannabis businesses develop and implement marketing strategies and increase their digital exposure effectively and legally, because that is key. We strive to build relationships with clients who are ready and motivated to grow. Our team is made up of digital marketers, web designers and graphic designers, social media experts, and digital strategists. And I think we are ready to get started.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Olivia, for helping me get into it. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me just check the chat real quick to make sure. We're checking the audio here. Does it sound better? You guys drop a thumbs up if it sounds better, if just I'm talking into the microphone right now, if we're good. And if anytime at any point in this presentation, okay, we'll move our head. Cool. I'll try and sit a little more still here so we sound good for you guys. But at any point that you feel like the audio is sounding weird, just drop something in the chat and let me know, and I'll be adjusting along the way. But all right. I think we're set. So let's get into it. So as Olivia, started out to discuss, I've worked within the cannabis marketing industry for a while now, and I work exclusively for our marketing agency for our cannabis accounts. So I've been running a lot of social media accounts and running a lot of cannabis marketing campaigns throughout the past couple of years. And I think we all can agree, if you're on this presentation, that cannabis marketing sucks. It is really, really difficult, and it is something that you constantly deal with every day in terms of getting ads shut down, getting, posts taken down, dealing with things not going through approval processes, especially with like social media and, Google ads and billboard and print, depending on what you're marketing within the cannabis industry, it can be nearly impossible. Especially when a lot of these places abide by federal laws. It can be nearly impossible, especially if you're looking at social media, we won't see much change until federal regulations are moving along. And with Google ads, you have some leeway, you have some room, but it can be pretty tricky. Same thing with billboard and print. You can do some stuff with that, but you really got to watch your verbiage and what your imagery is. So, getting into it, we know how, if you're on here, you know how tough it is, and you know how hard it is to market your cannabis business, but how can we improve upon that? And how can we develop marketing strategies moving forward based on some things that you might be doing wrong within your strategy to better market your cannabis business? And I'm going to start off with a really big one, one that I hone in on with clients all the time. And that is that you don't understand how social media algorithms work. So one thing I can just say from this presentation is that engagement is key, no matter what marketing campaign you're running with, and especially with social media in terms of mastering that algorithm. So when you don't understand the algorithm, you don't really understand what gets your post ranking organically within people's news feeds. So every time someone interacts with your Facebook, Instagram account, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, it signals to that algorithm that user is engaged and interested in your content. So the more a user interacts, the more it signals to that algorithm that this is content that user wants to see. So all these social platforms are geared at making the best user experience happen. And when you are engaged with certain content, it wants to make that user experience better and push up that content in people's news feeds. So what is really important is getting people to engage with your content, thus getting you to the top of that organic news feed. Because as we all know, especially with Facebook and Instagram, doing any kind of paid advertising or boosted social posts is nearly impossible in the cannabis industry. So honing in on that organic growth is going to be key for your social media strategy, which is why you need to focus on quality of content over quantity of content. I don't know how many times I've told clients that, posting 80 times a week isn't going to get you anything, as opposed to posting a couple very good high quality posts that are going to get you engagement. Because what do these numbers mean if they don't actually convert to sales or actually create brand loyalty for you? So kind of like how you can turn that around is really focusing on getting more likes on your content, more page views, more interactions like comments, profile visits, because that is all stuff that signals to that big mighty algorithm that this is content they want to see, and that's good. So, okay, we'll make sure we don't do that anymore. So focusing on engagement, that is key. So we just want to make sure that every time we post, we're finding a way to get people to like and comment and interact with our content. So one of the easiest ways I like to increase this is through Instagram stories. And they have so many cool tools, polls, questionnaires, things like that, that you can do to increase engagement within there, because stories is one of the highest growing social media platform facets. A lot of studies have recently shown, especially throughout 2020 and 2021, that people are more engaged actually with stories than they are their actual news feeds. So shifting some focus to the stories is going to be really critical for your marketing strategy moving forward, and using those Instagram engagement tools to trigger in that algorithm that people are engaged in this content is going to be key. So when you get, using I thought that was a cute one. Would you get up early to watch the sunrise? Yes or no? Simple question, really silly, but every time someone interacts with it, that's a signal to the algorithm. And it works the same way as if someone views your profile or comments on a main feed post. So utilizing those free and easy tools that you have in Instagram stories is just an easy win for you with your social media marketing strategy. Yeah, I just want to toss some quick stats at you too. So with all this, saying all this too, a lot of it's not going to be as effective as you want if you're not focusing on the right platform. So kind of giving you at a glance where people are at, which age group, which demographic really dominates that field is also going to be essential for you to know to really hone in on your target. Another reason that your marketing strategy could be failing is that your website has some major issues. So all these marketing campaigns are all a catalyst to lead people to your website, to convert, to purchase, to sign up, to get more marketing content. All of it is supposed to lead towards your website. So when you have a website that is not responsive, has low word count, is slow, isn't mobile responsive, that is going to tank your search rankings, and it's going to deter people immediately once they hone in and once they actually go to your landing page or your website. So getting your website in check is going to be essential. We got questions already coming in, sweet. Pushing these websites, getting up your search engine optimization is going to be essential to really pushing your marketing campaigns moving forward. And this question just came in, but kind of touching on that too. So Google may push down your website for overuse of cannabis terms and terminology. So keeping that to a minimum as well, which I think I actually mentioned this here soon, but I can actually skip to that one. Keeping cannabis related verbiage to a minimum is going to be essential too if you receive any kind of federal funding or banking. I know during COVID that was and I'm sure a lot of you experience, was a big thing. And we had a lot of clients go through a lot of struggles with having cannabis verbiage on a lot of their content because federal banks run by federal law and regulations, obviously, and cannabis is technically illegal in federal law. So they can automatically disqualify you for any kind of federal funding. So keeping that to a minimum, if not including it at all, knowing which terminology you got to use to really work around that is going to be essential for you. But turning that around. And an easy way to really boost your search engine optimization is to make sure your website is speedy. So making sure all your plugins are optimized, that there isn't like excessive like things jumping into the page all the time, which slows your speed down. And then also adding a lot of copy to your website. So Google likes to have a lot to scan on your website and likes to be able to find things to link to and to scan and to add and to feed into itself. So the more content you have and the more links you have, the more copy you have, is more time Google is spending on your website crawling it, thus adding more data, thus pushing you up in their search rankings. So that's an easy way to kind of hop right into improving website content and website speed, but there's obviously a lot of other things you could do to improve your search engine optimization. And we also help do that for cannabis businesses as well. So this one is a very overlooked item, in my opinion, from what I've seen from a lot of clients, and that is you're having inconsistent branding throughout your marketing. So using different fonts, different colors, different design styles throughout your marketing campaigns and your social media really creates a amateur presence, not necessarily on the forefront of the mind. Like I would say a lot of, Instagram users aren't going to really notice on the forefront right away, like, oh, they're using a different font than they did the last time. But over time, it generally creates a brand online presence that seems not up to par with others within the industry. And subconsciously over time, it does tend to, data shows that it does tend to turn off end users. So like, for example, consistent branding can increase a company's revenue by up to 23%, while on the flip side of that, conflicting brand usage, so like constantly using different fonts, different colors, different design styles throughout your branding can result in damage to your brand credibility, up to 56%, as this is shown. And then brands that are staying consistent with their branding and using consistent colors, different consistent design styles, are 3 to 4 more times likely to achieve strong brand visibility. So I'm a big branding person, and I get very peeved out when I see, like, I'm scrolling through social media and I'm like, this is not the same as what they posted yesterday. This is a different preset. This is different that. And I know I'm in marketing, so I notice these things a little bit more, but I know over time, just when I see these brands doing this consistently, not sticking to the same thing over and over again, that it really bugs me. And I think it also, and the data proves that it really bugs other people. So sticking to your branding throughout your designs and throughout your content is really essential to achieving elevated brand image. And one of the easiest ways that you can stick to your branding guidelines is to create a branding guideline document. So this can take some time. This could take a couple days. This could take a week. This could take a month, depending on how complex your cannabis brand is. But creating that and getting that done will really set you up for success into the future. So, putting branded fonts on this for your headings and subheadings that that you're going to use that same font for, including your brand's exact color codes, your Instagram feed or your Facebook feed's dedicated photo presets that you like to use to keep a consistent brand feel. Getting this set up and getting it lined up and knowing that your whole team, however big your team is, that they understand how to use it, how to access it, and how to keep consistent with it. So creating a brand guideline is a good way to set you up from the beginning. And then it kind of is the catalyst thing that pushes you forward too with your website, with all your marketing campaigns moving forward. So whipping up a brand guideline is going to be good. So another reason that your cannabis marketing might be failing is that you're not building up trust within your audience. So this may seem kind of apparent as well, but if people don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. And obviously that's true with not just the cannabis industry, but true all around. So building trust has a profound effect on marketing in general. And many consumers feel like they identify to a greater extent when they see peers using their products. So if you are working within the cannabis industry and you're working on the grow manufacturing side of things, and you see another grower that you respect, you've worked with, use this brand of lighting or use this brand of grow tools, or that they're gonna get information from that friend that they know and trust to buy your product. So this form of marketing creates a social trust, and building trust within that audience just pushes your brand credibility forward. And one of the easiest ways you can do that is to build up your case studies. So work on getting statistics, work on getting quotes, work on getting, it could even be a couple short paragraphs about how you helped your target audience achieve what they wanted to achieve, or how, if you're a dispensary, how your products have helped customers, improve anxiety, or, provide this or that. I know it's hard to give exact numbers. You can't technically say, cannabis exactly 100% does this or at 100% does that, just due to federal regulations and whatnot, and watching the verbiage on that. But just getting, general testimonials too about the dispensary experience is great. Equipment manufacturers, how does your cannabis grow equipment help increase revenue for your grow facilities? That's a great question to ask people if you are working on getting those case studies. And then grow facilities, for example, how do your processes that you have down pat create top tier cannabis for your supply, for your distribution? So building up your case studies is one of the easiest ways to kind of start building that social trust. And I've often found in marketing, more often than not, if someone's happy with your product or someone's happy with your service and what you're doing, they're more than often willing to, for free, just give you a nice testimonial or to give you a nice quote or story that you can run with. And they know it's co-exposure for them too. So it's definitely like a win-win situation, especially if you tell them that you're going to publicize this testimonial and tag them on social or on their website to get them more exposure for themselves too. But one of my favorite ways to really increase that social trust in marketing is to use influencer marketing, especially with micro influencers. So building trust throughout people on social media that are advocates for products within your industry, or advocates for what you do, or the product or service you provide within the cannabis industry, is going to be essential to building that trust within the social media realm. So finding these micro influencers, which are accounts from 1,000 people to 10,000 people that are way more effective at engaging with their audience, is going to be a really cool marketing tactic that I think a lot of people don't really hop on, but once you use it, you'll start to see those results of people gaining social trust in you. And typically these are relatively inexpensive ways to market your business as well. So I've worked with influencers in the past, and sometimes just from the sheer exposure of getting free product on their end is good enough payment for the post to go out. Otherwise, I know sometimes we've had people that require some monetary payment, but a lot of time you can just pay in product and they're good to go and good to post about you to their followers. And one of the biggest benefits of going after a micro influencer and using a micro influencer is that their audience is way more engaged with anything that they're talking about. And that's because on their own end, they've built up that social trust already. So, there's 7 times higher engagement rate on Instagram with a micro influencer than there is with a larger audience. Micro influencers create content every day, with 48% of them actually posting several times a day. And 84% of them recommend products and services at least once a week. So there's a lot of micro influencers out there. You just got to kind of get on social media and search for them, or you could even poll to tying back to the beginning of the presentation. About increasing engagement on your social media is in your stories too. You can do a poll of asking a questionnaire about asking people, what are some of your favorite influencers we should follow within the cannabis industry? And then from there, you can go ahead and reach out to them and ask if they'd be interested in doing a sponsorship opportunity or doing collaboration. So I cannot stress this enough. I love micro influencers. I love using them. Easy peasy, easy payment, cheap, but also is extremely effective at building social trust. So would definitely recommend that you implement that in your strategy in 2021 moving forward. And then lastly, one of the biggest things that a lot of people are doing within marketing, not just in cannabis, but in marketing in general, is that they're kind of just throwing ideas out there and throwing campaigns out there and seeing what sticks without tracking, without doing setting proper SMART goals. And you need to track in order to see what your results are. And you need to track in order to determine what's failing for your strategy and what isn't. So honestly, marketing it truly is trial and error. Trying new things all the time is really what's gonna push your brand forward. And even if you fail, like let's say you do as a cannabis brand, you do an ad with a cannabis publication and it seems like it's going to work out and you spend some money with it and then you realize you got no leads from it. Well, tracking that, seeing what kind of ROI was on that ad campaign, and even if you failed, you're like, okay, now we know we don't work with that publication anymore. And it kind of sucks, but learning, along the way is going to be essential to you building that marketing strategy moving forward. And that failure means progress. So if you're not trying, which has been said a million times in a million different things, but if you're not trying, and you're not failing, then you're not moving forward. So just focusing on tracking and setting those SMART goals, which I would recommend setting them for everything, not just campaigns, but also just social media for local community engagement, customer numbers, revenue, everything, just setting those SMART goals, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or yearly, is going to be essential for you to kind of tracking that campaign performance, especially when you're putting in like length of campaign, everything like that. But once you start tracking, you start to improve. So I don't know how many clients that we've gotten where we've stepped in and we started to consult with them and then they have had no tracking for ever and they weren't tracking anything they were doing and they were just like, oh, I don't know, like I'll throw some money at this and see what happens, or I don't know how good it was, we don't know. And then we would step in, and once we started to track for them, they're like, wow, we were wasting some money. Like, yeah, that's why you got to track. So tracking is key, and also one of those things I want to hit home for you guys, moving forward. And I just want to touch too, kind of go into just some different people we've worked within the cannabis industry that we feel like we've helped through using these tactics. So for example, one of our biggest clients is Pip Horticulture. They make mobile vertical grow racking systems. And when we started to talk to Pip, we first, wanted to be educated on their product and talk about, what really sets Pip apart from other grow racking systems within the industry. And then determine what that audience was, and then we strategize from there in terms of what tactics need to be used moving forward. So they used a lot of marketing automation, social media marketing, and a lot of trade show design, which if any of you have been to MJBizCon, we were there too, and so was Pip. And then implementing from there, and then figuring out through tracking, monitoring those results consistently, seeing what is working for Pip, what isn't. And in that process, we increased Pip Horticulture's traffic by 75%. So, and then increased their revenue solely from inbound marketing tactics by 35 million. So you could say it's been working. Another one of the clients we help with that works more on the green side or greenhouse grow side of things is UB Grow. They have quantum dot technology that helps increase greenhouse light spectrum through a layer of film that goes over their greenhouse. And we met with them to educate ourselves about that quantum dot technology, strategize from there, and then implemented a new brand image moving forward. So we created some new landing pages. We beefed up their social media campaigns. We created, I put an example down there of like a cool email signature for them to use so that their branding is consistent, because that was a major issue that we had when we began to strategize with them in the beginning, is inconsistent branding, which we touched on earlier in the presentation. So we set out to get that going. And then one more, and then faux lighting, faux LEDs. We met with them and we really got to know the science behind their LEDs and what makes their spectrum greater than others. And then we devised a strategy for keeping that elevated branding that they already had, but also tracking and trying new campaigns and keeping the branding consistent. And from there, we gatekeeped a lot of content, and we got over 1,500 or 1,000 form fills, which is really cool, which they weren't gatekeeping content before, which is another thing. If I could really hone in on something from this presentation, is once you get your website in check and your website is optimized, you can start to gatekeep a lot of content. And what I mean by gatekeep is put a lot of your content behind a form, so that when people come to your website, if they want information on a product or want to sign up for a newsletter, that you're hiding that until they actually give you your email, which then builds up your email marketing list too for your own marketing. But yeah, so I kind of wanted to jump off that. And then I figured I'll answer some of your guys' questions. And just because you stuck around this long, I wanted to give you guys a chance to win a free competitive strategy from ThrivePOP as well. So that is an over $2,000 value. And we'll email you this presentation, and we'll email you this offer as well after. But what we're going to have you do is have you go to the landing page, thrivepop.com/cannabis webinar. And then you'll go there and you'll enter your information for a chance to win a competitive strategy with us. And we'll let you choose too what you want your competitive strategy focus to be. So we can either take a look at your guys' social media, and we can audit it in terms of what things we see doing wrong, or what things we think we can help improve upon. We can also do a brand analysis where we'll take a look at your overarching brand overall and check for that branding consistency like we discussed earlier. And then we can kind of take a look at your website too. So you can head to that link and you can choose which one of the things that you want us to do. But let me go in here, check out some questions. So what platform do you prefer for hosting your brand guideline documentation? So there's a couple. Let's just like put this back here. There is a couple things. So there's a lot of free resources out there for you to use for that. I know even Canva, which I'm sure a lot of you have used Canva. There is actually similar documentation templates in there that you can easily plop in this information, and it kind of already has it set up for you like in a document form. We like to just create those usually in Canva or in some kind of like, free platform like that. And then what we'll do is we'll just stick it in a Google Drive for the entire team to access. So if you guys don't use the Drive, I would recommend you do use it. However, keeping that just once it's established in a easily accessible platform that all your employees can access, I would say the Google Drive is the best one for that. But another way too is making sure that it's just saved on everyone's desktop or everyone's phone. Just something to refer back to, especially with those. I know with like, if you're doing on the design marketing side of things, that like the color coding and, knowing exactly what color and what font to use is really important. So yeah, I would recommend, just hopping in one of those, or you can even Google. I know we use Canva, but there's also like Crello is a really cool one too, that has like some templates that are very similar to branding guidelines, that it's very easy for you to just kind of plop in your information. If you're wondering like exactly what should be in a branding guideline as well, you can easily contact us, obviously, or you can Google. There's like brand guideline templates that you can even just kind of mark up your own by, and then you can create your own unique one through just an easy to use free template. Or I know Canva's like $9 or something. So, and Troy, yes, we will. So after this presentation, which I know you asked this earlier in the presentation, but we'll go ahead and we'll send this deck to all of you guys, so you can have it, and then we'll go ahead and we'll send you the webinar as well. So once we're done with this, we'll get to uploading it online, and then we'll get you all this info as well. So Noah, yes, Confluence. We have used Confluence. We actually use Confluence a lot for our, which I guess not all of you can see this question, so I'll say the question first. So I have experience with Confluence, but it's way too clunky. We're mostly just using Google Drive and shared docs from there. Yeah. So Confluence, we use for a lot of meetings and a lot of like note taking. We don't do a ton with it in terms of, like storing like different documentation of like brand guidelines, or I don't know what else, like sales processes or anything like that. We typically keep that in the Google Drive, or we actually use Acello for like a lot of our like sales billing side of things, which is another big CRM. HubSpot is one of our big CRMs that we use to track our sales, and we're actually HubSpot partners. So we work within HubSpot, and we work with HubSpot directly to optimize marketing automations and whatnot. But we also put a lot of sales documentation and processes in there as well. Yeah, so let's see. Another thing too, I'll just touch on real quick, is that when you're marketing your cannabis brand, I know a lot of people want to, try to boost a post, or they'll try and, just give this ad out and try. And all I can say is, focusing on digital is very important, but also focusing a lot in your community is very important as well. And especially if you're a dispensary, being involved locally in different things that you have going on is also key to a really good marketing strategy. I know, so I'm in Michigan here, and Michigan cannabis is just like blown up ever since it became recreational. There is a dispensary on every corner. And what makes those dispensaries stand out is those ones that are involved in community and community activities. So I can also stress that it is extremely important to not only have a digital presence, but also have a presence within the cannabis community and within the community that you're serving as well. So I even know too, being on like different boards or different local community boards and different cannabis organizations within your state also really help you gain exposure and really help you build relationships within the community as well. So I know I didn't touch on that, but let's see some other things. So I know Noah asked too, in terms of is putting cannabis terminology pushing down organic search. There's generally yes. However, there is some conflicting data that would say that it doesn't do it that much. However, I usually like to keep it to a minimum, especially when we're discussing federal funding. I know not a lot of cannabis businesses are eligible, but I had some that's not only served cannabis, but they would serve just the agriculture industry in general, and they were eligible for federal funding. And if they actually had different cannabis verbiage on their website, that their bank was checking that out. So I think it's okay to a minimum, and I don't think Google is gonna detrimentally destroy that for you. But however, having more content on there that does not have that cannabis verbiage, using words like hemp is not dinged in Google, and using different roundabout words. But yeah, I would recommend keeping it to a minimum, Noah, but I would say it's not going to be super detrimental to your brand, which also important too with your cannabis website is to have that gatekept too by an age to make sure it's legally compliant, making sure people are 21 and up also before entering your website. But yeah, Meryl Cook asked, do you have experience working with Pardot? We're trying to obtain distributors for our product. What is the best way to find distributors? I don't know that I ever have heard of Pardot before, or that I've used Pardot. So I don't know that I can properly answer that question, but we are trying to obtain distributors for our product. What is the best way to find distributors in this space? I would say kind of going back to what your peers are using. So I know quite a few grow facilities that, automation platform like this. For Salesforce, I have not. I'll have to go check that out. We've used Salesforce in the past. A couple of our clients still use Salesforce. We kind of switched that over to HubSpot and to Acello. But to answer your question about the distributors, though, what we have seen especially for our grow facility clients, how they obtain those distributor relationships were being a part of cannabis groups within their state and municipality communities. So being a part of cannabis boards and stuff within the bigger cities in terms of getting things passed legally and whatnot, and the municipality stuff, but also them leveraging their connections from other grow facilities. Because I know a lot of growers and production people, they all have worked with each other, or the cannabis industry, a lot of people have worked with each other here, worked with each other there, and they're all kind of coming together here, and then they got some people over there. So I would just say leveraging your connections within the community and asking other facilities or other production places, like, who do you guys distribute to? Do you mind getting me that connection? that has been the best way that we have seen these distributors or seen our grow clients really grow with their distribution. So them leveraging their local clients and their local suppliers has been awesome. So yeah, let's see. You're welcome, Meryl. I think that's it, unless anyone else has any other questions. What we're going to do is we're going to send you guys this deck here. We'll send you the recording. Oh, hold up. Got another one. Noah asked, what platform are you using for marketing automation? So we use HubSpot. HubSpot has some of the coolest ways that you can automate so many different things, from whether it's email marketing campaigns, whether it's lead flows on your website. It has so many different triggers that you can set up that really can get any kind of marketing content to whoever, and it is so customizable, it's ridiculous. So we use HubSpot for all of our clients. It's fairly easy to use, and like I said, we're HubSpot partners, so we always give free demos to whoever wants to check it out. But HubSpot is definitely like the top tier marketing automation software, I would say, within the inbound marketing industry, just for its sheer availability of different tools and marketing automation softwares that are within that. And we do a ton of email marketing automation for our clients, especially even for example, for like webinars. We can automate different things where certain attendees get a certain type of email, while people who signed up and didn't attend get a different type of email. And having all those triggers set up beforehand is super easy. And yeah, so I would totally recommend HubSpot. And if you guys ever want a demo, just hit us up and we'll get you one. But let's see if there's any other questions. I think we are good. And if you guys want to, feel free to reach out to me directly too. My email is Lindsay, LINDSEY @thrivepop.com. Otherwise, you can go to thrivepop.com too, and we have a contact page. You guys can head there. Otherwise, head over to our thrivepop.com/cannabis webinar, and we'll get you a chance to enter to work with us. But otherwise, you guys can wait for that email, and we'll talk to you soon. So I'm going to stop sharing, and you guys have an awesome day. Bye, guys.